Joining me now, New York Magazine's Olivia Nuzzi and staff writer for The Atlantic, McKay Coppins, two of the great chroniclers of the Trump era. McKay, we'll start with you. Last hour, the Senate override the president's veto to the National Defense Authorization Act. Quite a smackdown on the way out the door. What do you think the reaction will be inside the White House?
Oh, I imagine we can guess what the White House reaction will be. The president will be irate. He will rant and rave. He'll promise vengeance and may actually be in a position to bring some to the Republicans who didn't vote his way, regardless of kind of what he decides to do 4 years from now. He's going to remain a force in the Republican Party. But I do think that it's kind of the perfect capstone to the Donald Trump presidency, right? This is a man who has never really cared much about governance, has never really cared much about the Republican Party, has done everything he can to alienate people in Congress, and for the most part has watched Republicans stand by him. And the fact that there was, in this kind of final moment of his presidency, a bipartisan rebuke, however small or minor, I think does show just how much wreckage he's left behind him over the past 4 years.
Olivia, you have been a chronicler of said wreckage, and now the president's announcing an election protest rally set for January 6th at 11 a.m. What are you hearing? What can we expect?
You know, the interesting thing to me, besides this smackdown, as I think McKay just called it, being a perfect way to end things, this is also kind of a portrait of the president very isolated. Everyone that I talk to who ordinarily is around the president has said that they sometimes don't even know who's next to him. When he was at Mar-a-Lago, he was very isolated. People who were typically around him were not. He is sort of just had this vacuum filled by people who are the worst of the worst yes men, who are telling him what he wants to hear, who are telling him to do the most destructive things. And this is kind of course, I think, how he's going out, sort of very angrily and frustrated and isolated and surrounded by people who are bringing out and encouraging his worst instincts. And so when he came back early from Mar-a-Lago and skipped his New Year's Eve event last night, I think we all knew that he was going to be planning something. And I'm sure that besides this January 6th event, he will be planning all sorts of other things before he finally has to head out the door on January 20th.
Parting gifts to the Republic. I'm going to stick with you, Olivia. Louie Gohmert responded to Vice President Pence's attempt to dismiss his election lawsuit today. He called Pence the glorified envelope opener in chief. My question to you is, how seriously should anyone take Louie Gohmert?
I think generally the answer to that is not very. And it's interesting that we're talking about Louie Gohmert. I was talking to a Republican official a few minutes ago about Josh Hawley and what he's doing and how establishment Republicans view what he's doing right now. And this person said, I'm quoting, he's not some moron like Louie Gohmert. And that the reason why people are being harsher in how they're assessing what Josh Hawley is doing is because it seems so much more cynical, whereas in Washington, at least, among establishment Republicans, Louie Gohmert has always been viewed and continues to be viewed as pretty much a joke.
McKay, I want you to take a listen to comments that Congressman-elect Carlos Jimenez made this morning, and then I want to get your reaction.
At this point, I haven't seen anything, but again, the argument is that a lot of the evidence has never been brought to court. The courts have basically shot down these challenges due to procedural grounds. There's so many things that I saw from other states that shouldn't have happened that lead us, a lot of people, to speculation that, hey, there's some hanky-panky going around. Now, I'm not saying that there was.
Now, what I love about that is it's the kind of thing you hear a lot. Republicans saying, look, there's a lot of confusion around the election, and that's why we should have this vote. When, of course, it's the president, and in some cases the vote, that's increasing the confusion. So, McKay, what's your take on that kind of logic or illogic you're hearing from Republicans lately?
Well, what's interesting is it's Donald Trump's. A lot of people are saying logic, right? This has been a hallmark of the Trump presidency, where he will assert basically without any evidence that something is happening, a conspiracy theory, some kind of nefarious activity by Democrats or his political or ideological foes, and then just kind of create out of thin air this narrative that then the rest of the Republican Party will sort of say, well, I'm hearing from my constituents that about this, and it's clearly something that a lot of people are concerned about, and therefore I need to take it seriously. And so it's this kind
circular.
of yeah, it's a self-perpetuating thing where they can pretend like they're kind of doing this statesman-like thing by taking their constituency seriously, when in fact they all know what reality is. They're just kind of too afraid to say it.
All right, McKay Coppins, Olivia Nuzzi, I recommend everything you write. Thank you very much.